Welcome to ESG Decoded, where we navigate the evolving landscape of environmental, social, and governance, ESG. Join me, Amanda Kuhl, Caitlin Allen, and Erika Schiller as we explore the intersection of sustainability, innovation, and ethical leadership.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to ESG Decoded. Today, I'm your host, Erika Schiller, and I'll be talking with some folks from Envita Solutions and ClimeCo today. Envita Solutions is a sustainability and waste handling, total waste management system. And I'll let Shaun Miller, who's joining us as the Senior Director of Operations and Sustainability, give us a little bit more about what Envita does. I think part of the prompting of this discussion is that Envita has gone through some big changes over the last 2 years. So Shaun, can you share us, what were those changes about? What were the key drivers? And what has that meant for your customers of Envita Solutions?
Well, we were originally Heritage Interactive Services. We were a subsidiary, a spin-out of Heritage Environmental Services back in 1999, 2000, and it came to be born from hazardous waste customers appreciating the culture and the service of Heritage Environmental and subsequently the Heritage Group. And we're asking, well, can you help us out with more than just our hazardous waste? Can you help us out with our trash? Maybe we got some recycling, looking for a single source partner. So Heritage Interactive Services, which is a mouthful, was born at the time to be our first entrance into the total waste management space. And really, in the grand scheme of that particular business model, we were pretty early entrants into that market. So over time, we kind of became our own, self-standing service providing for the customers. And then you fast forward 20 plus years later, and we had really our own market of clients who are looking for total waste management, everything under one roof, everything indemnified, all of the data, but also driving their sustainability goals while implementing efficiencies and cost-saving strategies to fund those ambitions. So in 2020-ish, at a pretty volatile time anyway for society, the group made the determination that this company itself was worth investing in as its own standalone entity. So we separated from Heritage Environmental at that time because Heritage Environmental, a premier good standing hazardous waste company, they were feeding, their own assets in the incineration space and the landfill space and transportation, whereas we really partnered with them, despite them being our parent company, as just another supplier, a strategic core first-run supplier, but just another supplier, of which we have 4,000 across North America, so that we can offer the best service and sustainability and pricing and things of that nature. So that was kind of the first change, is all of a sudden we're our own company, reporting directly up through the Heritage Group instead of being a subsidiary. And then with that acknowledgement came the realization that we also needed to kind of rebrand and step out on our own as to this is who we are, this is what we provide, and really kind of re-announce ourselves to the market in general. And which I was super happy about, because S. Miller at heritage-interactiveservices.com, it's a long email. There's a lot going on there. So to transform into Envita Solutions right in June of last year, so right a year ago, which, by the way, N-E-N, environment, Vita, Latin for life, Envita Solutions, not only short to my email, but was more appropriate for the branding of who we wanted to be at that time. So those were the two major changes that we've seen, becoming our own company and then rebranding. And it's been, still to this day, it can be somewhat of a challenge, despite the fact that like half of my wardrobe all says Heritage Interactive Services on it. I'm down to just like a few pullovers at this point that are appropriate to wear it for the customer, but I'm building that back out. It's been exciting at the same time, because you have to, we still get on calls with customers we worked with for 15 years and they refer to us as Heritage, and like, that's fine. Like, they know us as who we are, and we're still part of the Heritage Group, and HES will always be a major component of our identity and how we got to where we are. So those have been the two most significant changes thus far.
And, I think those are more, I hear a bit of the background, right? So you've been around for more than 20 years. You started out as Heritage Environmental and spun off really to better serve your customers with sustainable solutions, total waste management. What about, have there been changes in how you serve your customers with the launch of Envita?
There have. We've always been a very white glove integrated partner for our customers, and we strive to be more than just a vendor, supplier, partner. We strive to be an extension of their team. And with that comes a very broad scope of the services that we have provided. So today, we do provide absolutely management for absolutely everything that leaves a customer's facility. That's not a person or a product within that environmental space. So there's no waste or byproduct that's off limit. We've seen them all, and we continue to see new ones, every day. But I would say the way that we service our customers beyond the continued investment in our technology and data platforms and software is really ebbs and flows with how sustainability in general has changed and matured over the years. And I'd say that from two different perspectives. One, sustainability, and this is going to sound redundant, I've said it in the past and other platforms, but I won't say that it was at one point like a fad or something shiny, but like there was a time when it was like a kind of like a nice to have and things. Then you fast forward to today where it's how business is done. You're looking at the total value proposition for an organization, not just the P&L and what they give back from a profitability line to stakeholders and investors, but like this generation, the up and coming generations, and the maturity of society in general now recognizes that there's negative externalities for where people source their direct supplies and how their services negatively impact communities and where it's going. And there's all these great things. So we've continued to evolve with our customers to account for those things. And therefore to be frank, it's been good for business that people are now vested and care about sustainability and in ESG in general as a means to do business, to advertise the total value proposition of an enterprise. So we've continued to grow and evolve. But you'd also say that back in 1999, 2000, our primary sustainability focus was zero waste to landfill. And we still are very adept at that today. And that's a big part of our platform, is helping to offer roadmaps and transformation strategies and transition assistance and long-term management for zero waste to landfill certifications. But I would say an equal amount of our time is spent now in looking at the carbon impacts of those services so that we can provide a full spectrum proposal that says, okay, this is the change that we recognize that may be an improvement. Here's your cost impact if it's a savings or an increase to make this change. Here's your total sustainability analysis. Here's how does it impact your recycling percentages? How does it impact your landfill contribution? And how it impacts your carbon impact, whether it's the transportation of waste and byproducts from one location to the other, whether it's the utility output and power utilization, if we're talking about putting equipment on site. That's how I think that we've really involved, is that no matter who our customer is, we meet them where they are on their own sustainability journey. And our job is to, standardize as much as we can, lay it all flat, as a friend of mine likes to say, show them where they're at and then help them with where they want to go. And it could be waste or waste reduction, zero waste, true. It could be landfill reductions, or it could be their scope 3 reduction by 15% by 2030, and how that relates to the services that we provide. So that, in my opinion, that's been the most significant transformation for us. And I think that as across the next decade plus, you'll continue to see a similar evolution of our organization based upon how our customers' needs and ambitions change as well.
Can you help us understand a little bit of the trade-offs? So I heard you say, transportation, when you're thinking about a trade-off between sustainability and, zero waste to landfill or other goals in terms of the waste side, and how you help customers understand those.
When we talk in terms of trade-off, it's very hard for me not to start with, cost versus impact, because it can be a challenge for the environmental health and safety component of a business to be a positive contributor to the bottom line. And that's where we hope that we help utilize our services to investigate both the efficiency and savings aspect in tandem with their sustainability goals. Because, the best example I always like to give is our friends in Cleveland. Because there's not a really good waste energy facility asset within close proximity to Cleveland. And there's a number, you could look at all across North America where those pockets exist, but that one rings true to me because if we do want to take whatever remains of their landfill contribution after we've segregated all that we can, found solutions in recycling for everything, there's without the implementation of like true circular economy across their entire value chain, there's always going to be a component of material that it's the volumes are too small, and there's going to be some trash left. So in order to transition that amount to waste energy, they're shipping a container to Niagara, New York, or Indianapolis, Indiana, out of Cleveland. It's a 6-hour journey either way you go, and there's a lot of transportation impacts to that. So one of the trade-offs in that case is that, okay, we can help you achieve below your, name your customers criteria, below 98% landfill contribution of their materials by shipping this material to an incineration facility, so that at least there's an energy recovery aspect and there's a renewable aspect to it. But there's a lot of carbon emissions that comes through the transportation, especially a facility in Cleveland that has a self-contained compactor where it's not swapping a box, it's taking the whole unit and bringing it all the way back. Though that's a lot of transportation. That's a lot of greenhouse gases that is put it back into the atmosphere by hauling that load. Much less, and I'm not advertising against waste energy, but much less the negative externalities of a waste energy facility in general, which requires a lot of power to manage. You have to look at the surrounding communities and whether there is any, off gases like O2 or nitrous that you're seeing go back out into the community. So those are all things you have to consider. Not to mention that transportation is not cheap, especially with the economic state that we see where CPI and labor and fuel, it's all going up, right? So that's an investment that our customer has to consider. If that's what you want to achieve, we'll help you get there, but these things must be considered. And then it's our job, once they make that transformation, to continue to look for ways to improve, reduce those costs and that type of things. And I mean, sometimes aside from building a waste energy facility in Cleveland, there's not a lot that we could do. But we look for everything that we can across their entire waste and byproduct portfolio. Because if we find, a 6-figure savings somewhere else within the organization, then the net aggregation of total costs starts to make a lot more sense. So those are some of the trade-offs. I always think about the spend, but there is the carbon impact now, which is a lot of the reason that we are not advocating for, but trying to at least provide education to our customers, the benefit of perhaps looking at a methane capture landfill, which we have those maps, and there might be one that's 10 miles down the road, and there's still at least a beneficial reuse component to that. It's not quite the same as a waste to energy facility, but it's a step in the direction depending on how their goals have changed over time. And, you just got to start somewhere, and nobody's perfect, but it's continuous improvement. And eventually you continue to chase that Shangri-La scenario that our customers are looking for.
That's super interesting. Thank you, Shaun. I wanted to bring in Amanda Mast. Amanda is ClimeCo's Senior Manager of Climate Advisory. And Amanda has done some work for Envita as part of ClimeCo to help with your sustainability journey and better serving your customers. So Amanda, I'd love if you could share a bit about the type of work that ClimeCo has done for Envita and how that has impacted Envita.
Thanks, Erika. So as you just mentioned, I work with the sustainability policy and advisory team at ClimeCo. So in this advising lens, it's been really exciting to help customers and clients like Envita with their sustainability strategies all the way through implemented solutions and disclosures. And so when Envita brought us in to do one of the initial phases of setting up a strong sustainability strategy, we were really excited. So Shaun gave us a call when they were interested in doing a materiality assessment. And so we give a quick rundown of what this is. So it's traditionally been a tool and best practice looked across sustainability standards, disclosure requirements. And at a high level, it helps firms navigate the broad landscape of sustainability impacts and issues to focus and prioritize on those that matter most to their business and to their stakeholders. So with that tool, we were able to help Envita navigate this broad landscape of both the external side with standards, frameworks, customers, peers, also reflect internally, chatting with leadership, doing in-depth interviews to pull together all this detailed information and data on the firm, and then come together in a final alignment workshop and really focus on those factors that matter most to Envita and could be prioritized through a really honed and data-focused sustainability strategy going forward. So it was really exciting to be a part of the process, though, Shaun, you get the absolute shout out for being not only the internal champion, but with your sustainability background and knowledge, really a leader of the process and assessment as well. So really enjoyed partnering with you on this. And I think it was exciting to see at the end of the day, this matrix that laid out all these different sustainability issues, from water, waste, of course, and greenhouse gas emissions, DE&I, and then focusing on those that could really matter most or had the most impact for the firm. And then see that used in your strategy going forward. So it was exciting to be a part of the process. And I think one thing I will say, it's cool that it's informed by data, that we get the chance to dig in with internal and external stakeholders. But it's also awesome when this data reinforces things that people within the organization had already been hearing, already been listening to, especially greenhouse gas emissions. I know you're saying total waste provider has been something that's Envita has absolutely provided for many years, but how much this materiality assessment reflected back the importance of greenhouse gas emissions to clients going forward, I think was a really cool insight. So I'll pause there, though. Shaun, do you have anything to add? Any insights that surprised you from the process, knowing how deeply involved you were in it?
Well, I will start by saying it was a really amazing experience to collaborate with you and your team. And we could not, obviously have figured out where we needed to start, much less have moved as quickly as I feel that we have over the last year and a half or so without your support from yourself and from ClimeCo. And as you mentioned, it was really like the proof of the data too, because myself and a lot of my colleagues have been talking internally for years, like, I get it, zero waste to landfill is important. Let's keep doing that, and just general waste reduction. But we need to be focused on the carbon impact of the services we provide and for the decisions that our customers make. And it was a little validating. If that might sound a little frank when I say that, but it was really validating to like have that bubble up into the top right quadrant for, no, this is important. It's meaningful for our business. It's meaningful for our customers, and it's genuinely material for the future of our enterprise. So that was nice to see up there. But that also helped us hone in, as you said, on like how crucial not just the greenhouse gases, but our people were, our safety, in the waste management process in general. And those inevitably led to the foundation for what we use to craft our own internal sustainability goals and how to prioritize the next 3 to 5 years as we lead up closer to 2030 and beyond as to what we wanted to do ourselves. So it was a critical part of the process and could not have done it without you all, and very appreciated.
I have a question there, Shaun, and how do you think about, you mentioned here are some key topics that came out of the materiality assessment. These are really important to our business. How do you ensure that those key topics remain top of mind, remain key drivers for the business? Are they incorporated into key performance indicators for the organization?
They are. In fact, we did the materiality assessment in tandem with our long-term organizational strategy work, because at the same time we were rebranding and doing all these things, we were also putting it together, led by our president, Peter Lux, and the rest of our leadership team, what we needed to do, where we needed to focus, where our priorities needed to be, and what our essential strategy was really for the next decade. So it happened in tandem with this materiality assessment. So those were pulled into that conversation, and we do everything that was identified as our most material topics were directly built in to our strategy long term. There are KPIs around them, which are not perfect yet. It's a journey. We continue to build out our targets and our process and our ability to track them all and report out progress and have accountability. So they are front and center with our core values. They are front and center with like the pillars of our strategy and our aspirations for the next 5 years. They all jive very, very well. And they are, during our leadership meetings, I have the opportunity to take a moment and present to the group on where we're at in our own sustainability journey and what these things look like. And so they're always right there up on the screen, top of mind. And my executive sustainability deck to the leadership team for our company always has our materiality assessment. and our sustainability goals right there at the top, with the updates and in process and future state right below that. So they are very much kept on track and top of mind for all throughout our organization.
Just a comment I need to make on Envita and your approach to the materiality assessment, but more so afterwards, is we see some firms who take a materiality assessment and explore it more as a box checking exercise to get credit with different disclosures, standards, et cetera. And that's absolutely not the case with Envita. As Shaun just outlined, it is so great to see when this data-driven tool, one that's invested in and embedded in what's going to optimize performance for the firm and drive value for stakeholders, is actually used in strategy and reference going forward. So just love the approach that we've seen from Envita and hope it's great to see you continue to reap the benefits of this investment.
Absolutely agree. And Shaun, I wanted to ask you, so what do you think is next on the evolution for Envita? What are you excited about?
Well, we're in our fourth, I believe, year of reporting into CDP Carbon Disclosure Project, so that continues to evolve. We're now going to begin our second year of reporting into EcoVadis. And I mention those for what's next because those are also helping shine a light on where we need to make improvements and where we need to mature as an organization. So I'm excited about, because that's all happening again in tandem, still several years out from separating from our parent company. We still had a lot of legacy shared policies and SOPs with not just HES, but with the Heritage Group. And it's been a heck of an 18 months to try to be the kind of the thought leader to bring all the internal business units together to now map out and create our own documented policies and things as backup, not just to meet the criteria of third-party auditing reports and reporting, but also because it needed to happen. And so that the sustainability journey really helped unexpectedly pull together a lot of the systems of our organization and accelerate some of those standardizations, I think, much faster than they would have happened organically, which has been nice. What I'm most excited about, we just completed our own audit of our headquarters, and we're looking at because, and I should have said this earlier, we did partner with ClimeCo again, and there's several instances where I can use that term, but we partnered with ClimeCo to achieve carbon neutrality in 2023 by working within the carbon credit space and carbon offset space, so that we are at least at a net neutral. And then what I'm excited about is, having completed the audit of our headquarters, we're now looking at, okay, what can we do? Most of our greenhouse gas is from our scope 2. We don't have a lot of direct emissions from any of our facilities, mostly office space, but we do have all the purchased electricity and utilities and things of that nature that we can look at. And then our scope 3, obviously will have its own challenges with the number of suppliers and things we have, but it's forced us to make strides sooner, which I'm excited about, rather than just kind of doing that when the opportunity needed to happen. We're trying to get out ahead of that now. So looking at our relighting strategies, solar application at our own facility, long-term beyond just localized solar, but tapping into geothermal and wind farms and things in the future. And that's something, again, we will partner with ClimeCo on. That's what I'm most excited about, is not only coming out and saying, this is who we are, this is what we believe in, this is what we're going to do, but actually seeing meaningful progress in a relatively short amount of time. And I think that will continue into 2030 because it's the right thing to do. We do subscribe to SBTI, but also because we've stated that we're going to do it, and I intend to make good on our commitments.
I just want to highlight two things. So you mentioned SBTI, that's the Science Based Targets Initiative. And you also mentioned EcoVadis. Can you share a little bit about what is EcoVadis and how are you engaged with them?
So EcoVadis, there's a number of third-party supplier sustainability verification platforms. We found that EcoVadis is one of the more common. Again, we have done the Carbon Disclosure Project reporting for a number of years, but more and more our customers were asking about our EcoVadis score, our EcoVadis metrics. And it's something we had kicked around for a while, and really driven by the materiality assessment, like listening to the voice of our customers as well, and keeping our pulse on the global sustainability context in general. Finally was enough for us to gain approval to we need to do this, so that not only do we have a mechanism that we are reporting into to help us kind of organize and consolidate all of our efforts, but to be fairly graded in the market on our actions, and also satisfy the needs of our customers, who are becoming more and more inclined, as they examine their own value chain impacts, to have a means of measuring those partners. So it's probably 3 months, I guess, a year out of my life where I'm helping refine our internal policies and uploading those documents and going through and answering questions and things. So it's definitely a commitment, but it's well worth the time. So that's what I'm referring to, is that EcoVadis platform.
That's super helpful. Thank you. And Amanda, I wanted to ask you as well, what do you think is next? I know you talked about a materiality framework was kind of the first type of work we did with Envita. I heard renewable energy. Is there a potential for double materiality? What are you thinking?
That's a great question. I think our goal is just to jump in and support wherever Shaun sees extra needs or need for extra hands. But it's been amazing what the team has done to pursue these robust supplier questionnaires, which are not easy, and also, set a science-based target. So I think would be happy to support on the implementation side. There's a lot of expertise and help we can bring on renewables in particular, and just making sure there's a strategy of best fit for an organization like Envita, because there's many different approaches. So definitely would love to keep the conversation open on renewables. And at the same time, I think the materiality assessment will go a long way. But if Envita ever starts doing a business in Europe and needs to align with CSRD principles, we can help you with double materiality. That's on the mind of a number of our customers too. But I think when it comes to sustainability, going at a pace that works for the firm, that can build internal support and also drive value to customers in a paced and high quality way is what really matters. So I think we're just on deck for whenever Shaun needs us.
We're in a state where we've been able to partner with ClimeCo to get where we are now. So we're like I mentioned, that we are already connected with ClimeCo about our potential renewable strategy in the future, but we're also in a state where we don't know what we don't know yet. So like time will tell, as we do potentially continue to explore maybe expanding our geographical market into EU and things. We know that they're there. And honestly, like I think that I'll need a partner in the future when it comes down to the remaining critical changes that need to be made to our business. I'm working with them to show us like where our is it a MAC analysis? I'm sorry, Amanda, where we want to see like what does the investment equate to as far as impact, and then helping to use that as a tool so that I can make the right recommendations to our leadership on what we want to do next, and so they can see a direct what that output would look like in return on the investment.
You exactly have the correct acronym. So happy to talk tools and acronym soup. So it's a marginal abatement cost curve. And yes, that's something we like to do, especially to help our clients who are moving forward toward a science-based target. Question is, okay, great. We've set this target. We know in general what levers we want to pull, but we really want to hone in on understand what our emissions impact is per price per investment, what emissions reduction I can get for this cost, and comparing the different levers. So that's what we try to map out in another tool called the marginal abatement cost curve. And yes, it's designed to help explore a number of options, and then empower members of leadership like Shaun and others to make decisions that really match their timeline, their budget, and what will work for their firm. So yeah, happy. I'm awesome. It's awesome that you remember that tool and all our acronyms in the space. But yeah, that's definitely a helpful one.
So what I'm hearing is, we're walking together on a sustainability journey, that there's a continual evolution, both in the requirements around reporting, setting targets, et cetera, and expectations of our customers and how we can serve them, how their goals might evolve from, only a waste target to a greenhouse gas target to an energy target, clean energy target. So it was really interesting to hear you both share a bit about Envita, how you've been evolving and how you continue to evolve. So really appreciate your time, and thanks for joining.
Whether you're a seasoned ESG practitioner or embarking on your sustainability journey, ESG Decoded is your trusted source for inspiration and actionable insights for responsible business practices. Subscribe on your favorite streaming platforms to be notified of new episodes drop bi-weekly on Tuesday mornings, and connect with us at ESG Decoded on social media or by visiting www.climeco.com.